An ageless force of destruction has been awakened.
30 years ago, they never found any corpse.
Space-age weapons are useless.
Escape is impossible. Godzilla, 1985, starring Raymond Burr.
Godzilla will live.
The legend is reborn in the all-new Godzilla, 1985, rated PG.
I know what you're thinking. Didn't I just review this movie? Well, yes and no. In my previous review, I covered the original Japanese version of The Return of Godzilla. This time, I'll be covering the American version. What's the difference? Well, quite a lot. Godzilla 1985 is the American English version of The Return of Godzilla, but what sets it apart is that it heavily recuts the movie down to 87 minutes and adds new footage with Western actors such as Raymond Burr. This method was also done with the American release of the original Godzilla movie, King of the Monsters, which also starred Raymond Burr. The plot is essentially the same as the Japanese version, but all the political themes have either been watered down or removed completely. Many scenes have been replaced with new American footage, which adds very little to the main plot. The plot of the American version feels like it's playing it safe, and the film comes off more like propaganda, which I'll go into more detail in a moment. The Japanese characters basically remain the same as they were in the Japanese version, except for the Prime Minister. I'll get into that in a moment. Naoko refers to Okumura now as Kenny for some reason. Where and how Kenny came to be is never explained. The new Western characters add little to nothing. Travis Swords seems to be the comedy relief, but none of his humor hardly ever lands. He is literally only there to promote Dr. Pepper, which is blatantly showcased throughout the movie. Warren Kammerling and James Hess do a decent job portraying the gruff, serious military character types, but that's all they offer and nothing else. The only Western character that adds any level of substance is Raymond Burr. Burr seems to be the only one who actually cares about the movie, while everyone else seems bored and concerned for their paychecks. Burr adds some effective tone by constantly repeating that Godzilla is a force of nature beyond mankind's understanding and is needed to be reckoned with. The ending is actually improved by Burr's monologue, explaining mankind's insignificance in the face of a tornado, an earthquake, or a Godzilla. One thing that always baffled me was that weird dragon-like talisman. It's shown only once during the opening, but it's never explained why it's there or how Steve Martin ever got it. The movie adds stock music from Christopher Young's score for DEFCON 4. The DEFCON music is actually pretty effective in some parts, but it's used inappropriately during the Russian sub scene. This scene didn't have music in the Japanese version, which added to the suspense, but this version kills the suspense by adding music. My issue with the Japanese version was the pacing in some areas. Godzilla 1985 manages to fix the pacing in some scenes to better effect. The opening is paced better, all the lingering shots of Godzilla looking derpy or standing still are gone, and Godzilla's rampage and battles with the military are edited to be more faster and flashy. However, there are some areas where the editing makes some scenes rushed or worse, such as the meeting between the Japanese, American, and Soviet leaders. In the Japanese version, this scene made the Prime Minister become the heart and soul of the movie, but the American version removes the significance of this scene completely. The worst edit, however, is what lends the movie its propaganda nature. In the Japanese version, one of the Russian sailors tries to stop a missile from launching but dies in the process, but the American version recuts this to make the Russian intentionally launch the missile. The new footage even emphasizes the Americans looking like the heroes when they countered the Russian missile. It's obvious Cold War propaganda, and it's amusing looking at it now. There are two English dub versions of the film. Toho commissioned a Hong Kong studio to do an English dub for the Japanese version for export, while New World Pictures decided to produce a new dub, and it's pretty clear why New World chose not to use the export dub. The export dub is atrocious and unintentionally hilarious. The export dub even redubs some characters who are already speaking English in the Japanese version. Because of this, the export dub undermines the serious tone of the Japanese version, and it feels like very little effort was put into the dubbing. The American dub is vastly superior. It's directed and set up more professionally, and the voice actors treat their characters seriously and successfully without the need to perform any fake Asian accents. Overall, while Godzilla 1985 tries to fix some flaws of the Japanese version, It ends up creating additional flaws in the process, like the American propaganda, weak humor, questionable edits here and there, but it's still a pretty solid Godzilla film with enough entertainment value. Raymond Burr's performance, a new and improved English dub, and a couple of editing improvements here and there make the movie worth seeing. Originally, the producers wanted to do a parody English dub similar to Woody Allen's What's Up Tiger Lily. In fact, one line from this version made it to the film.
That's quite an urban renewal program they got going over there.
Raymond Burr eventually stepped in and demanded that the film be treated seriously because he himself is a Godzilla fan as well. I award Godzilla 1985 2.5 stars out of 4.